Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to T3PO Live. Thank you so much for coming on in. On early, it looks like the pro show is still going on right there, which is fine. That's all good right there. But the water is warm here. We'll go ahead and warm things up for you even more because, man, oh man, the heat is rising over there at Disney. I'm not talking about the good heat, by the way. I'm talking about the bad heat. The heat from criticism, from fans, from all kinds of people who are well, they're not fans of what they're seeing right here, from CommuniCore to Lookout K to Tiana's Bayou Adventure to all kinds of stuff. And folks, I mean, here's the thing: as crazy as this is in this show, we're only going to be, fleetingly referencing the Acolyte because there's so much happening on the parks end now. Acolyte content will be coming out shortly. Don't even worry about that, especially after tonight's episode. That is for sure. But I mean, if all kinds of stuff deserves attention, and to bring attention to all these things, well, here's my right-hand man right here. Barry Place 28 he's already on screen. Doesn't even know it. Hello there, Barry. What is going on today?
I don't know. I think we got quite a bit to talk about today. It's a lot has happened in the last week. So
lots happened in the last week. A lot happened yesterday because they had, I suppose Disney put on their media event for the opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and so you had the big wigs out there. You had Disney, Disney chairman, Disney Parks chairman. Disney Parks Experiences chairman. Sorry, they've changed the name like 4 times over the last 4 years. Josh Giamaro was there. Walt Disney World President Jeff Volley was there. All kinds of people were in attendance, and so they use this as an opportunity not just to hype up Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which requires hyping up, that's for sure. But they also touted a whole bunch of stuff like, for example, if you haven't got enough Tiana in your life, everybody, well, fear not, because guess what? The Tiana show on Disney Plus has just been reconfirmed to be in the works yet again. It was on the table, then it was off the table. Now it's officially back on, as it's being touted by Disney themselves at this media event. So if you haven't got enough of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Tiana the character that walks around now in 2 different costumes. If you haven't gotten enough of Tiana's Palace, and I'm sure Tiana's Palace is coming in some form at Walt Disney World. If you haven't gotten enough of Ray's Berets and her taking over all of New Orleans Square at Disneyland, and maybe soon Frontierland at Walt Disney World, well, don't worry, folks, because you can get your Tiana fill on streaming very shortly with this Tiana show. Bob, initial thoughts?
Let's just hope the storyline is much better than the ride.
I would very much agree.
I feel like I know this has been on and off again. I feel like they're just kind of bringing this back up to try to sell the ride after they spent all this millions of dollars of trying to update Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I mean, I could totally be wrong, but it seems like to me they're using this as a marketing ploy to really push Tiana to try to get everyone into. It's like, oh, love the Tiana show on Disney Plus. Now I need to go on the ride. So I don't know about you, but that's my
I don't necessarily disagree. We'll see if this actually comes to fruition here. We've seen a lot of stuff that gets taken off the table, put back on the table, and then never come to fruition anyway.
Right.
We'll just have to see, I suppose. I'm hopefully the show is better. A lot of people speculated that, maybe they're coinciding, the story with Tiana's Bayou Adventure with the show and all this. And no, folks, that was never the plan. They were never going to do that. The Tiana's Bayou Adventure team completely, wholly separate from the from this team working on this show that you see before you. So they were never going to line up. Disney used to synergize like that. Not so much anymore. A lot of times you don't see the left hand knowing what the right hand is doing and so forth. So that's always been unfortunate for sure. We'll get to this. We'll get to this in just a moment right here. I have a whole bunch of tabs. I actually have 195 tabs open right now, folks. So if I'm trying to get on, if I'm trying to navigate throughout the show, well, an absurd level of tabs open right here. But hey, guess who got knighted recently? Look at that. Bob Iger, recently the recipient of a honorary Knight of the Order of the British Empire. Well, that's just great, isn't it? That's just awesome. Now he can take his 2 showers, royal showers. In fact, that's great. Bob, initial thoughts?
Yeah, I was kind of like, what? Why is he getting knighted? Can anyone explain that to me? I don't know. It just seemed kind of out of the blue. All of a sudden he gets knighted, but to be honest with you, I really didn't care about it. I saw it, I passed on it. I really wasn't too, concerned about the fact that, he got knighted by the British Empire. Good for him. But, I personally, I don't see why he got knighted, but whatever.
I can tell you why he got knighted, because Disney has spent about $4.5 billion in the European country alone in the last, I think it was like 4 years, I believe is what the tax filings show. So they've invested quite a bit of money over there, and well, sometimes you get rewarded for that, as Prince William did here. But that's ironically wasn't what I wasn't going to show you. It's just I'm clicking around, folks. I'm trying to find out where I'm at. Back to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Sorry, guys. I know we're all over the place. But you may remember hearing about how the first media previews that took place at Tiana's Bayou Adventure didn't go all that well. I think Denise from Mousesteps says it right here. They waited for 2 hours in this kind of salt mine area of the queue right here. Not a lot of air conditioning from what I understand. They did hand out these outshine bars, and well, good for them. They at least got something for all of their trouble, but oh boy, this was this was unfortunate to see, especially because this is going to be their big new ride for the summer. And these previews are only going to escalate as time goes on. Well, in fact, they have. So let me just see here if I make sure I have all of my links here. It is, yeah. Okay, so, yeah. Well, the media event, like we were talking about at the start of the show, it bounced around a little bit. So they set them up at the Contemporary, which, by the way, I mean that's no small feat right there. That's a premium location for Walt Disney World property, right along Seven Seas Lagoon and on the monorail. They then hosted a media event in Epcot at the World Showplace Pavilion. If you know where that is, it's like this temporary. It almost looks like a temporary tent on the outer rim of World Showcase. Anyway, they hosted them in there, and there's some controversy with that as well, because apparently they specifically invited, black media, I guess, is what Laughing Place referred to it as. For that event, we have a big expose coming in future videos on that Park Place talking about this whole program. But anyway, that's not the whole thing. They had that whole thing at Epcot. Then they all went over to Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Magic Kingdom, which is also on the monorail line. I don't quite know which one came first. It looks like because of where the sun is, I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure came after, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Anyway, these are all the bigwigs. These are your big mainstream media attendees here. We're talking like big news outlets. We're talking, maybe some big newspapers. We're talking the big bloggers, and this is if you want the best foot forward, the best first impression that you can possibly get, this was it. And even then, they were having problems. People waiting for hours trying to ride this ride as it kept breaking down. It kept having problems. You can see right here, Mouse Planet. The rumored operations problems unfortunately continue during the invited media preview at Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Was asked to exit the queue after nearly 45 minutes. Back in now because was told reopened, but haven't moved much in nearly 30 minutes, at least in air conditioning. Reports suggest that this may have been going on for 2, 3, 4 hours. Collectively, the entire day trying to get on this attraction. It's just been a nightmare for them. I mean, really, really bad. But there is maybe a bright spot here, depending on how you look at it. So we have Dinner for Lewis as Mama Oni singing Dig It a Little Deeper with guests while riding Tiana's Bayou Adventure. What this post fails to show here or to talk about is that she's singing because the ride is broken down and she's on it. and they're locked in position right here. So they were apparently waiting so long that they broke out in song, which is fun, but at the same time, this whole exercise has been just a disaster and shouldn't really be happening in the first place. Bob, your reaction?
Well, it's I understand the ride's not technically open until June 28th, but it seems to be that they're having a lot more issues than they should be for this ride. I know that you guys have talked about it, with Pro and whatnot. Obviously, it seems like this is beyond little sensors that aren't, working correctly. Even though Imagineers had wanted more time to work on this ride, it seems to me that whatever they've done, it's the ride operations system, or either that, or we got an issue of both employees and the ride system not working properly together. But this is a ride that was working fine. Now I get it; they got new animatronics, everything like that. But you have a new ride system, and Ken's right. We have it's a new ride system, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you would have thought that by now the new ride system, they would have been breaking in a little bit easier. I just didn't think they'd have this many issues. I don't want to make a big, huge deal out of it, but at the same time, it's like, why are they having all these issues? And it's not just little issues where, they were told to, leave after 45 minutes and come back, and then they were waiting another half hour. I mean, they're shut down for hours. And I don't know how long the celebrities here from, the Princess and the Frog were actually sitting there. Is it Keith David? Is that who it is? He looked bored as heck. He looked so upset.
So I was
just
just about to get into that right here.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he looked like he was just fit to be tied. And everyone's like singing with Jennifer Lewis, and he's just sitting there like, get me off this ride. Yeah, I can't stand this anymore.
They really did Keith David dirty. I really feel bad for this gentleman right here. This guy seems so cool, so nice, and what I've heard, so friendly. But they really did him wrong a number of times right here. You can see his reaction to being on this attraction in which his character is not a part of. And this is weird because they not only have invited him to this media event, to smooge and wine and dine with guests and media alike, but they also used him earlier. Did you remember this, Barry Place 28? Do you remember when this actually took place? This was the kind of like the 15-year celebration of Princess and the Frog in New Orleans. They sold tickets to this via D23, for their D23 club, and they had Keith David there, representing talent from the actual film, which is great. But this was also a venue in which the Imagineers took to tout the new attraction, to tout Tiana's Bay Adventure. Now, the reason why I bring up Keith David, the reason why I'm bringing this up at all, is because people will note the Dr. Facilier is not anywhere featured in the attraction at all. We've gone over why that is. We're going to have a video on this channel actually going over why Keith David as Dr. Facilier wasn't featured on the attraction, and why, Mama Odie has been changed from a voodoo queen or voodoo priestess to a Bayou fairy godmother. It's all related, folks.
What the heck is that, by the way? A Bayou fairy godmother? I mean, come on, seriously.
I don't know. But they have used Keith David here multiple times to tout this ride and I guess be invited to the media preview for this whole thing, and he's not in the actual ride. It's so bizarre to me. Keith, buddy, you got to tell your agent I'm not attending anything that I'm not necessarily a part of. This is ridiculous. This is really, really unfortunate. I really feel bad because he would have been so awesome to have in this ride. It would have been so cool to have him, a Dr. Facilier that is on the final lift hill and doing, Are You Ready? And just some of those amazing, what could have been amazing animatronic moments. If you see how he moves in the movie, you could have really done something really spectacular with this character, whether it be through projections, and animatronic would have been awesome. All kinds of stuff were possible with this character, but we'll never see it because, Carmen Smith and Sherita Carter decided against it, and that's unfortunate. Again, there's going to be a video here, I believe tomorrow, going into all of this. Bob, come on. Am I wrong here, or am I just blowing hot air?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, to me, if they, I feel bad because I don't want to rip on this ride, right? I really don't. I was really hoping that they would try to do something good, but as the months have been going on behind the scenes, and as my sources are telling me what was happening, what was going on in the storyline, I was just like, okay, well, this just sounds worse and worse every single month. And I think if they would have just stuck to the Princess and the Frog, story and just did the movie, I think that a lot of people would have accepted the story. I think it would have been a lot more fun. It would have been a lot more suspense, but we're just not getting that, and now, Carmen Smith and the other Imagineers want everyone to be happy and excited about this ride when there's really nothing to be happy or excited about for this ride. Other than, hey, maybe you get wet and cool off during the summer. Because really there's nothing. And we talked about this last week. They did all this extensive research. I don't think they did much research at all. They probably just went off and had fun in New Orleans. But to take characters from the movie, change their titles like they did with Mama Odie, and to change what their character is supposed to be so that they, didn't make the characters look bad. They wanted to be very inclusive and stuff. My whole thing is I understand they're falling into the DEI stuff. To me, they should be focusing on, hey, let's make something that's fun and an enjoyable ride and storyline for all of our, guests that come to the park. So that's why I mentioned last week, and I'm still worried that, Carmen Smith and these other two Imagineers with her are going to be taking over Beyond Big Thunder. I only hope that if, this Disney Plus show that comes out, and if it does come out for Tiana, that she and the other Imagineers have nothing to do with that show, because I can tell you right now, it's just going to be a horrible show, just like this ride.
I hope that's not the case. I hope they don't have anything to do with Beyond Big Thunder, but we have to assume that this, what Carmen Smith's team, the Story Matters Initiative, is a consulting firm. We have to believe that they're involved at some level. We'll see how intrusive they become. As Bob mentioned right there, they spent years and years in New Orleans, supposedly doing research, but all I ever saw them do was party on Bourbon Street, taking advantage of Mardi Gras and all this stuff. Oh, which, by the way, they talked about multiple times. Oh, well, we want to bring this party atmosphere to the actual ride itself, and it's like, okay, well, other than the parts of the finale, I wouldn't even include all of it. Where was this represented at? And it certainly wasn't a Mardi Gras celebration. It certainly wasn't, the community coming together. There were projections of community members, maybe, but it didn't really feel like a communal atmosphere, at least at the way they referenced it earlier. And as Bob was saying, it's they sold this attraction as being a fun attraction. They sold this attraction as being something that was a celebration and all this stuff. But we never really got to see it. We did get to see, though, Teresa Carter and Carmen Smith here, the two leads on this project, partying up on Bourbon Street. But we'll have a party of our own, and to do that, well, we have to bring in the amazing, the one, the only, Lou, Wasserman's Ghost. Hello there, Lou.
Laissez les bon temps rouler, as they say down in New Orleans. Exactly. And I did figure out what they were researching, Vash, when we saw it today, that goodie bag box that they gave all the press on the ride. They were researching gimmies. They were researching toys to put in that box, because obviously they had nothing to do with the actual story or ride or anything. So
let me see if I can actually find, with my myriad of tabs here, where I put the goodie bag story.
They used to say MGM had more stars than there are in heaven. Well, you've got more tabs than there are in heaven up there.
Yeah, I have too many tabs. Sorry, but if you aren't previously aware of what Lou was referring to, like I was saying before, this was the big media day for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and again, they had this big celebration over there at Epcot and this whole big media event. But in the lead up to this, before the day actually started, they provided the media with this swag bag, or these goodie bags that contain all kinds of Tiana's Bayou Adventure merchandise and swag and all this kind of stuff, right? Now there is a pretty big video on that park place going into the intricacies of all of this stuff right here. But these are my notes. I think I included in the video as well, totaling up how much all of this stuff was. You can see right here the Loungefly Tiana's Bayou Adventure backpack, for example. That's $90 right there. Some of the stuff not represented on this screen, the Magic Band Plus band that you see right there, and the baseball cap. Both those combined, you're talking, 75, maybe even more, depending on the limited exclusivity of that Magic Band Plus. You can see right here they have like a little plushie, Tiana plushie. They have like a zipper pouch right here. They have ears, light up ears, by the way, that are worth about $35. Actually, sorry, $40. Behind that, there's like a bucket hat that's worth $35. You add this all up, it is, and some of the snacks here aren't represented either. You add it all up, it's at least $400 that they gave out to the media. This was all given to the media for free.
Media defined as influencers, podcasters.
Yes.
Your brother Fred, who likes Disney and tells everybody it's great if it is or it isn't. You're an influencer. And in case you wonder why people are willing to pump for them, this is why they are paid. One way or another, they are paid.
Yep.
And that's always been the case. That's not new. What's new is them admitting it so blatantly, because if you look at some of the people's threads where they posted this thing, look at the lovely stuff Disney gave us, not understanding what they were saying about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's an old joke that ends with the punchline, "We already know what you are. We're just haggling over the price." And so they didn't even have the self-awareness to realize what they were doing to their own credibility, because the people posting on their threads are saying, "Oh, I see. So that's what they bought you for," and similar statements.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledgement.
And here's the thing: you can see the seat that this is set on.
Yeah, that's in the Contemporary. I recognize the orange.
Right. The Incredibles themed, right? That's in the Contemporary. They gave them a luxury stay at the Contemporary as well. This was not just limited to the swag bag. You had to add on what? I mean, nowadays,
couple $300 a night,
$600, $700 a night.
Yeah,
because it's Seven Seas Lagoon. It's on the monorail line, as you can see right there. They gave them quite a bit of stuff in the lead up to actually going on this attraction.
Meals and accommodation and transportation from the airport or wherever, probably.
Oh yeah,
if they're not locals.
Yeah. It's
Parking,
all
certainly.
kinds of stuff. I can see the pro raid coming in. Hello, everybody. Come on in.
I was just there, and here they are.
Well,
people following me? Are you people chasing me?
I think they are. You are fashionably early there, Lou, and they wanted to go ahead and get on the fun.
I'm just selling I knew you'd be lonely without me, so I bugged out to get over here, but it was about to come to a glorious end, so it was okay.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. You can. Anyway, we were just talking, guys. I believe they covered it on the pro show as well. This swag bag or this goodie bag that they were providing for members of the media. You can see my notes right here on the pricing of all those things. If you didn't believe Jonas and his amazing description, while that segment of the show played out. We have a super chat right here. Just want to go ahead and get to it right off the bat. It is Going Shogi. I do apologize. I'm going to have to lean in for this one. I know how to fix Tiana's Bayou Adventure for an authentic Bayou experience. I saw what you did there,
Gregor. I saw what you did there.
Someone can.
Did? You can't run from us. Ain't no place that far.
There you go. That's right. Let me go ahead and put this on the screen.
That's
Sorry
what
about
Uncle
that.
Remus says.
Going Shogi for $10 right here. Thank you so much. I know how to fix Tiana's Bayou Adventure for an authentic Bayou experience. Someone can blow
Tony Cacher, yeah.
Tony Cacher is in your face.
Go buy some. It's delicious. It's good in everything.
Then you can't see anything through the burning spice. And the coughing covers the music. Yeah, that's a really funny super chat right there. Thank you so much, Going Shogi, for that. That is amazing. Thank you. Now, I want to bring somebody on the show. This is somebody who has helped us out tremendously behind the scenes. He's just been such an amazing supporter of not only That Park Place Network, but also of mine personally. This guy is awesome. I've wanted him to come on the show for so long, and here he is finally making his debut. Here we go. The one, the only Marty Snyder right here. What is going on, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Good to be here, man. I got the link earlier, but I wasn't at the house, so I had to get home.
Hey, you're completely fine. You're in time for the good stuff right here. We were just going over a little bit of a little bit of the perks for being so positive about the Walt Disney Company, right?
I was listening. Oh,
sure.
Yeah. So that Tiana is a mess. We kind of all thought it would be. Like, I don't know. I held out hope, and I think Barry said the same thing. But I mean, they've broken the ride.
They really have.
I must quibble. To break something, it has to work in the first place.
True, Lou. Very true.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh man, yeah. I can't understand just how much of a downgrade that we have gotten in all respects, not just thematically, but operationally as well. But according to some people, this downgrade was necessary. Yeah, this is from Mike over here at Block Mickey, who, by the way, has been doing some pretty good coverage of Disney in recent weeks. I know Jonas and I were complimenting a lot of what he has had to say and bring up some of the
this article,
constructive criticisms and so forth. Yeah. Oh, Lou, we're going there. I think he's really done a lot to bring a lot of this, bring a lot of attention to what's going on behind the scenes right here in a very positive way. But we gotta lean into this article. I don't want to, but we have
a necessary
right
downgrade for the most popular ride in the world.
Splash Mountain was a classic. Splash Mountain was problematic. Really? Was Splash Mountain problematic? Like, I understand. Song of the South. Okay, maybe some people feel that it was problematic in their own, twisted way, and a lot of those people haven't even seen the movie. Okay, fine. But the ride, though? Any of the...
they literally turned the new ride and made it problematic.
Yes, in multiple ways,
right.
By referencing Avery Island, for example, or this very authentic take on this adventure right here that is far more problematic than it is authentic. It's terrible. Both of those sentences can be true and deserve to be next to one another. Really? Do they? Over time, not only did Splash Mountain become a classic, yes, but Disney also realized just how problematic it was. Aspects of Disney, yes. I don't think Disney, as a whole recognized it to be problematic. They were listening to whatever advice they were getting from some of these consultants that were suggesting that it was problematic. Back in 1987, before Splash Mountain opened, Disney acknowledged that the ride could be problematic due to the source material, Song of the South, being so controversial. That said, they thought guests would look past the props of the source material and focus on the critters instead. It's interesting because I'm going to have to push back a little bit on this, just out the gate, to say that they re-released the movie before the ride was even approved. This was a mandate by Michael Eisner because he was a little bit like, are we going to have any backlash from opening a ride like this in the 1980s? And it turned out, no. In fact, it actually did better theatrically at the box office than when it was originally released back in the 1940s. So it wasn't like... It wasn't like there's there were protests and everything like that, and people chose not to support this and actually boycott it and all that. No, it actually received more support at the time that it was re-released in the 1980s than it did originally when it was released all those years ago. So it's weird how Mike is saying, well, at the time they knew it was going to be problematic. Actually, any of those fears that they may have had were immediately assuaged by the re-release of that film. So bizarre, so weird. That said, that they thought guests would look past the problems of the source material, focus on the critters instead. For decades, it seemed like that's what happened. According to an LA Times article, Disney officials say that, quote, do not expect the ride to provoke criticism because it uses only the animated animal characters. As it turns out, Disney was wrong. How? Marty, come on. Who is complaining about this? There
was nobody.
I want to say 2017, 2020. Who was complaining?
Nobody. I mean, everybody was. The ride still. It had an hour-long wait. It was the most popular ride in the park. I remember before, like, I don't know, a year or two before, like probably 2019, 2018. They started rumors of, and I know that they had explored some of it, but of turning it into Zootopia, even. And I was just like, I mean, at least that went with Critter Country.
Yeah.
Like trying to make a soup or whatever this thing is it really causes more problems also, just like with the lands, like as far as like what Critter Country is, like literally one ride and around, like it's Winnie the Pooh and the Hungry Bear restaurant. I don't know, man. I didn't see any. There were no people that were upset about Splash Mountain, the ride. And a lot of people don't even associate the characters from Splash Mountain with the movie Song of the South, because they had stopped selling or showing the Song of the South. My son, who got to ride it, a couple years before, like, he doesn't know anything about Song of the South. He thought the characters were cool. The fox, the bear, the story, which is a big issue here. The story was great on that ride. And it's, not only is the idea of what the new one is more problematic, but the storyline is just not there.
See, at least with Splash Mountain, you had, hey, we're going to the laughing place. That was a whole part of Splash Mountain. And while it didn't have a huge take on the movie itself, you could see that Splash Mountain was a ride where it's like, okay, we're not going to do the story of the movie, but we are going to do it as, hey, we're trying to find our laughing place. And we did. We found our laughing place, had a lot of fun. Whereas I think that, Carmen Smith and the other Imagineers said, oh, you know what? We can do the same thing with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We're not going to continue because we don't want to do with this problematic stuff that might be problematic for other people that don't like, the voodoo stuff and Tiana's, or Princess and the Frog. And then we'll go ahead and do our own thing. But they just didn't do a very good job of, coming up with that story and then and releasing it. I mean, what's funny to me is in that same article, they talk about the Tiana's Bayou Adventure backstory. And it says, embark on a thrilling journey with Tiana and a jazz-loving alligator Lewis as they traverse winding waterways to find critter musicians who can jam out and entertain at Tiana's Southern Soiree. Oh, really? The musical adventure crescendos with a 50-foot drop that leads you to the grandest celebration this side of the Mississippi during Mardi Gras season. To me, they make it sound really fun and entertaining, and it's not, though. And you don't get that sense of fun and excitement or whatnot. I mean, the celebration's kind of cool at the end, but there's just a lot of things that don't make sense in that way.
It's like this whole plot line where, oh, hey, we're looking for musicians. We're in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to find musicians in New Orleans. I mean, they're scarcer than what, pick your suitable simile. And the idea that thing at the end of a bunch of people on screen sort of dancing and a bunch of people watching their house flood in Hurricane Katrina are the epitome of celebratory New Orleansism is kind of a reach, even if you've never. Let's put it this way. There is more New Orleans in New Orleans Square, let alone in the real New Orleans, in Disneyland, than there is at Tiana's in Walt Disney World. Mm-hmm. It's just pathetic. Well, and when I came in, you guys were talking about all that research they supposedly did. You don't even see that food in there. There's a kitchen in the line, and there's signs on the walls that say, "This is a carrot. This is an okra." Oh, and two of the okras are wiggling. Man, if my okra was wiggling, that stuff's slimy enough when it's not done right. I don't want any that wiggles on my plate.
At Tiana's store in Disneyland, there's some hot sauces that they're trying to market for the ride, but they just outsource everything else. Like it's all Cafe de Monde. And I'm like, look, Cafe de Monde is great, but you can buy it on Amazon for like 50% cheaper than you're selling it in the store, and it's just going to be delivered to my house. I got to carry a can of coffee in my backpack all day long, before I get on the tram to go home. But it's Cafe de Monde beignets. It's not even Disneyland beignets. Like, why would, if you're going to sell the mix and sit there and brand it, it's so easy to sit there and brand it with your own stuff. Like you just spent a year having billboards saying Tiana's Foods is coming. People thought that they were turning Splash Mountain into a restaurant, and then you don't even like sell the beignets in your park themed around her adventure.
That's a good point.
To me, it was weird. It was really weird going in there and just seeing all the yellow products, and it was like none of it was Disney branded. It reminds me of Cars Land, and I've done Route 66 4 times back and forth, And when you go to Cars Land, Sarge's is pretty good. His shop. But when you go to like Ramon's shop, it's 90% just generic random stuff that I can buy on the road. It's just like Route 66 shirts. It's nothing Disney.
And you know, it would be so easy to do it right. What you have to care about is quality, which always was a given at Disney. But now,
hey, real quick before you go on this, and going back to the article, it just really irks me the fact that, you know, I enjoy Mickey Blog. They've been doing a really good coverage on, you know, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but then to come out with the article to try to salvage that ride, because the whole thing is it's a necessary downgrade. It wasn't a necessary downgrade. I mean, yes, okay, he talks about what was problematic with Splash Mountain, but he ends up ripping the ride, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, at the very end.
I got to tell you, I'm so sick of this word problematic, which is an excuse for we don't want to do it. There was never anything racist in this movie. There was never anything racist in the ride. There was never anything about slavery in the movie. And now in the ride, you've got a salt mine, which was slaves worked in salt mines. And you know, and by the way, what do they use the salt for? Well, if you're talking about Avery Island, of course, they make Tabasco. But the biggest salt deposits in Louisiana, we looked it up, big company. You know what they make their salt for? It's not food. They send it to the Midwest to put on the roads in the wintertime to melt the snow. There's a culinary use of our co-op's products, right? I mean,
I'm going to be honest, too. Like, I've started to notice a lot of these accounts that, like this one, that they were critical. They were saying, hey, we're going to take a look at this. Some people were concerned about how it turned out. And they've all changed their tune after being promised special things from Disney.
Sure.
Like special credits and stuff. And we've seen this down at Disneyland Resort down here. We've seen, I personally have seen stories killed at KTLA News. The stories got killed because their Galaxy's Edge Pass preview was going to be pulled, and I worked there. I know what happened. So it's they throw their weight around, and we know that.
And so does everybody else, and that's the given of our modern era of the press being so-called media, and the fact that the line between fact and publicity and truth and lies is so blurred. That's the reality we all live with. But when it's being used in aid of something that is so obviously wrong and so obviously poorly done and so obviously poorly planned and poorly managed, did you notice months ago we were told that Imagineering was hiring a whole new position at an executive level, which is several $100,000 worth of compensation and bennies and whatever, strictly to combat negative press on this ride. They knew way back then. Just as I said about the Indy movie, the fact that they never had meet and greets for the characters or an adaptation for the stunt show at the parks, they knew. They said, don't spend any more money on it. It's going to lose. It's going to die. And their reaction is not, let's fix it. Their reaction is, let's preempt the people who are going to tell the truth.
Right.
That's a management style, and it doesn't work.
I mean, I hate to say it, but if, these people who actually, sorry, Dre, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
But, I get it. They're bringing these people in, the media and whatnot, and they're giving them all these freebies. They're always doing things like that. But the fact that people are afraid that they're going to get pulled from having these, perks in the future. I have more respect for the people that go out and say, look, hey, I got all this cool stuff from Disney. I also got to go experience a ride. Unfortunately, this is how it was. I have more respect for those, media than the ones that just go out and say,
okay, they're afraid. They're afraid they're going to lose their gig. And here's the other thing. Part of being one of the chosen anointed for Disney was that you didn't get too cozy with Universal, because that was Macy's and Gimbel's. That was the Dodgers and the Yankees. That was or the Dodgers and the Giants, I should say. Well, now they're scrambling. I watched a guy I know who's a good guy, a sweet guy, means well, and he did a video that was on today, a tour of the new preview center for Epic Universe at City Walk there in Florida. Well, it has exhibits about the park. You wouldn't know it from his tour. The whole tour was, look at this neat plushie, and look at this neat T-shirt, and look at this neat cup, and look at this. Oh, I want one of these. I want one of these. It was a shopping tour, not a showing you the place and what they showed you with the tour. They've got a deal there. They've got this gorgeous, beautiful, big model of Epic Universe, and there's an app on your phone that when you look at it, you see things like dragons flying over How to Train Your Dragon on your phone, in sync with the model that you're looking at through your phone. Clever stuff like that. But that was 30 seconds of a 20-minute video showing off merch. So he's saying to them, hey, put me on your list regularly and I'll help you sell stuff. Honest, I will. Not because he's a bad venal person, but because that's the way he's been trained by his interaction with Disney.
There's the model.
Yeah.
There's a theme park shark right there with the model, and it is huge. We're going to be going over a little bit of Epic Universe today, folks. But this model is massive, and I would.
And here's the other thing about that model. Remember the model they had over there at Odyssey at Epcot a year or two or three ago about what Epcot was going to look like when they finished it? Unlike that one, this one is actually accurate to what will actually be there when they open it.
That's
an idea.
Very true. And you can see some details now. We might as well switch a little bit of coverage here. This is what Disney is doing. Oh, not this again. Lou mentioned it before, though, that yes, on that Park Place, we actually had some coverage on this, suggesting that the Walt Disney Company creating an in-house propaganda position to attack critics 14th. Of Disney Parks attractions like Tiana's by Adventure. Yeah, December 14th, 2023, folks. We were on top of this immediately, and yeah, we've definitely seen some pushback, but I think that has gone a little bit away.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that they shouldn't have somebody. I'm saying when your instinct on how to fix something is how to cover or pressure the exposure of what's bad rather than actually fixing what's bad, then you got problems.
Well, and just like Lou's saying, I think that in the past, Disney's always done things that are great. And so people didn't have to, worry about ripping the ride or attraction or whatever it is they were coming out with, because it was always unique and fun and different and really cool and whatnot. And now we're getting these attractions and things that just aren't so great.
Yeah.
And so now people have to worry, because it's like, oh, I get my, media, credentials and everything taken away, and I won't get all the perks if I, don't, if I tell it how I really feel about this, ride and attraction. And that's unfortunate, because, it shouldn't be that way, but that's the way the industry works.
Well, and again, the idea that your focus is cover up, and your focus is pressure, and your focus is distraction. I mean, look, if Tiana's was the best ride in the history of Imagineering, which I wish it had been, it still would engender a certain amount of nostalgia, resentment, whatever you want to call it, for people who thought Splash Mountain was the greatest. They're certainly encountering that in the very, very negative response they're getting from Oriental Land about changing it in Japan. They don't want to do it. And boy, now that it's open and everybody sees what it is, those Japanese guys are saying, see, we told you so. And they're right. But all I'm saying is, if you had the best in the world, you're still going to run into that resentment. But your way of handling it should not be, well, you're a bunch of doo-doo heads. We made something wonderful, so there. It should be, we appreciate what you loved about it. We tried to retain what we could about what you loved about it, but we decided to do something even better, not just different, not just overcoming something problematic that never was there in the first place.
Not just a necessary downgrade, which this article, by the way, I just want to point out, this is conditioning by Disney via Blog Mickey here this is conditioning for you to accept mediocrity by labeling something Easterphobe in advance before ruining what is objectively great. That is what's going on here. That's what's so deceptive about this. And look, if we look on the other side of I-4 right here, notice how the competition doesn't need to really do this because they actually have something great. They actually have something that's worth touting. That
we think we haven't seen it finished. We don't know, but it sure looks good. It sure is exciting. And look at what they did with Epcot. Look at that thing they opened at Epcot today, which I just said on the other show. Gosh, I just said on the other show, they spent more time, effort, and money tearing down CommuniCore than they did rebuilding it.
I know.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get into that, so I'll hold my comments.
I'm sorry, I'm screwing up the schedule as
no, you're fine, you're fine.
But all I'm saying is when you can't, let's rewrite the old song. They paved a great fountain and put up a shopping mall.
I know.
Instead of a parking lot.
Shopping mall. It's so true. I
mean, it looks like a hotel banquet hall. It looks like the kind of place. It looks like someplace that should be holding a cosplay fan festival.
And if you compare
but all the decorations provided by the guests, not by the hotel or the people who are putting it on. Look at that.
I know. If you compare that to what you're seeing here with the amount of detail, with the amount of heart and effort and time and resources put into all this, look at some of these facades in the Harry Potter section of this park. That could how tall they are in comparison to construction workers working on this.
I tell you something, following this as I have been, thanks to BioReconstruct and Alicia. Those go back one to that shot of the streets at Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You see all the scaffolding on those fronts? That scaffolding has now, to my memory, been up and down again about 3 times. Why? There's got to be a reason that taking it all down and doing whatever you're going to do to it and then putting the scaffolding back up to do the detail painting perhaps, and then coming down to do something else and then back up, that's necessary to get high quality, because otherwise it would be do it once, do whatever you can do, tear it down, we're done, next. That's not the way this thing is being done. This thing is being done in whatever makes the result right.
Lou, are you saying that when this opens, that they're not going to just like close down certain areas over and over again, and like they did in Toontown? Are you saying that the Toontown method wasn't good? Like the tree bark, the fountain.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm
saying the wand interactions are actually going to work instead of. Gee, when I was here last time and pushed that button, I got sound effects out of this building. How come they're not happening now?
All right.
By the way, when they have to make a change, the big, huge, amazing roller coaster over there, they picked a name and they liked it, and it turns out somebody else had a copyright on it, and they were going to dicker and make a deal and negotiate and pay them. They finally said, no, let's just do a new name, which means we have to change all the souvenirs, all the signage, all the maps, all the everything in a relatively short amount of time, but better to just get it over with than try and finagle around the edges, because that's the practical way to get everything right when we open.
That's interesting, because I always thought the practical way Disney told me was to open a land and then close it down every little piece over the next year and fix it.
I don't know how long you worked there, Marty, but you remember the days when they used to say it'll be okay once we get all the newness out of it? NUNIS. Vash will explain that I'm a native LA guy who moved to the East recently. But
you have a little bit of experience, Marty, with some of these Toontown closures, right? And what was going on there?
Yeah.
Briefly, do you want to go into a little bit of that?
I was there opening day. I remember the song.
Yeah, well, I know somebody that worked with that created the audio for it, and that's the one thing that seems to work. Yeah. Like, the speaker systems and the sound systems around the land.
Of course, the biggest thing that didn't work was the trolley, because that whole rocking and rolling motion was I guess, too much wear and tear on what they built for it. So,
well,
anyway.
so opening day, I took my son onto Gadget's Go Coaster.
Yeah.
And so there's, if anyone that's been there, they know the queue is, there's a rail, but kids, you can sit on rocks and stuff like that as you're waiting, as you go through. And I guess the trees, I learned this later, that every tree that's planted has like 2, 9-inch holes on each side of it that are tubes that go down like PVC pipes, and they create an irrigation system. Like that's the irrigation system for these roots. They put sod over the holes.
Well, of course they
without putting a cap on. And there you go, Dre. There's my friend. that all of a sudden a kid's walking and his leg goes straight down.
Oh boy.
And yeah, he probably shouldn't have been on that side, but there should be a cap on that. That kid,
or at least a metal grate somewhere a couple inches below the surface to keep you from falling through.
Yeah, so they forgot to put that on before they sodded over. That kid went straight down, and the security came and they closed the ride and stuff. But I was like, holy cow, man! This is opening day, and some 4-year-old just got swallowed, by Disney's grounds and stuff.
Yeah,
it was crazy, and they shut the whole thing down. Like a lot of people came over, but that's a massive. I looked in there and I tried to get a better photo before they got rid of me, and man, that was 6 feet deep or so.
But it wasn't just that. I mean, there were so many issues with Toontown opening. I was there the opening day as well, Marty. And, to see that, well, first of all, that the fountain was down, right? That wasn't even working properly. And then people were, trying to take it apart and with the shells and all that stuff. And then you had, the fact that they never opened the splash pad for,
took a year.
Yeah, it's like, why? And then, some of the really cool, fun, rocking horse type things and whatnot. And they took those out. Like there's a seesaw, I think, as well. Took that out. It's like they keep taking things out and they keep having to repair things. And it's like, what the heck is going on? I mean, this is the area right here, especially those flowers that you just showed. My daughter loves that whole area, right? But they have just wholly dismantled that whole area, and they still don't have the splash pad open. And here we are over a year later. Really?
Personally, for me, I have a 6-year-old now, and back then he was still old enough to know like to not eat paint chips. But the toddler playing an area that where toddlers could play and roam around. They had the with the tree, the wishing tree, I think it's called, and they have these roots. Paint chips started coming off, and I'm like, oh my gosh. 2 years earlier, like my son would have been putting those in his mouth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is that they flavored the paint to taste like blue milk and green milk.
Hey,
or beignets.
Yeah,
beignets. Oh man. Well, it's. I guess there's a tradition going on with Disney openings that some of these things just don't go the way they intended when initially conceived, and we're going to go ahead and change gears here because we're going overseas here to Lookout Cay, Lighthouse Point. We have a story coming.
I know it's spelled K, but they say Key down there.
Lookout Cay, Lighthouse Point. There, we have a story coming all about this on That Park Place. But I just want to go ahead and get into some of the issues that they're having, at least with their cruise line. So now we've extended this mediocrity push, not just from the parks, but now to the cruise line, which is a very, very prosperous business for Disney. And they have touted this new island for a long, long time. This has been in the works for years, decades, actually, in fact, to come up with a new island because of their expanding fleet. And so, and this was actually the last project that Imagineer Joe Rohde actually worked on, which is really something. And you can see some beautiful concept art, and it's all great, and it looks amazing. It recently just had a round of influencers actually visit it for the first time. You can actually see right here, pretty true to what the concept art actually showed right here. A lot of great stuff, but the problems, well, they started pretty early on right there. In fact, actually, right when you got off of the cruise liner itself. You can see right here this great tweet from Jonas right here. This is the pier that you have to walk in order to get to the trams that take you to Lighthouse Point on Lookout Key. And you can see right here, it's a long walk, folks. We're talking half a mile to walk. By the way, 100 degrees out here, and no transportation, no benches, no nothing, just a mile run to the pier.
It reminds me of before in Disneyland Resort, before we got the trams back after COVID.
Yes.
And so what they need though is they need some signs that we had that said you're almost there. Like keep walking, and like they had words. They had encouragement signs, like you were running a marathon, right?
Almost there, yes.
Like all we're missing is CM's handed out water. Like
so let me get this straight. The company that had the first working monorail in America couldn't put something here to running people back and forth.
I don't.
They got concrete. They got power. What the heck would it take to put a couple of rails?
Even just a couple of benches, shade structures.
Would be good.
You have hurricanes in this area, so maybe you couldn't do shade. It's like, okay, maybe. But again, like Marty said, this reminds me of Mickey and French parking structure when the trams weren't working initially when Disneyland actually came back into operation right here. And that was for a long, long time. And they raised the price on parking when they did that too, which is even
because it's now not just a parking, it's a whole, it's a new land. It's parking land, and you get to stroll through it.
These are people paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for these voyages right here, and you are forced to walk this, what is it, half mile stretch of pier in order to get to the trams that eventually take you there. Now, if you want to walk the entire way, you can actually see right here, it's 1.68 miles if you want to walk the entire length to Lighthouse Point right here. But
waistlines, bro, waistlines.
That's right. And of course, we know they're going to give you smaller portions for your own good on a cruise ship. Yeah, right.
This is bad.
And here's the thing about it. I know a little bit about boats and winds and currents and all that kind of stuff that goes into where you put a boat that size. You can't move the boat. That's got to be the best place to put it on this whole island as far as being in the shelter of what land there is. So you got to adjust to it somehow for human beings, most of whom are older, fatter, slower. How many people are going to be still walking when the boat pulls away from the dock? How many times is somebody going to yell, "Wait!" and watch it sail off into the sunset?
Oh, that's interesting. I think Joshua Harris put it nicely. Who's a great friend of the channel. He said Marty used to say, give notes back and say, just because you can draw it doesn't mean you can walk it, and this is a good example of that. But here's the thing, folks: as bad as this isn't even the worst part of this opening. The worst part are the flies. Okay, so a lot of vloggers, a lot of people, Theme Park Express, Ordinary Adventures, you'll see, I think Super Enthused also saw this. The main contention with a lot of people was not the walk, not the heat, not all these things. Again, 100 degrees. It was the flies. The flies, I guess, were outrageous, and they were so bad that it actually went back on the ship, which we'll get to in a moment. But this is how people had to eat their food because of the fly situation. So this is the big feast area right here. Now you can see they were trying to mitigate this problem with huge fans right here that they hoped would blow back some of this stuff. But you can see right here, folks. Look, I hate showing this stuff.
Charming!
Yeah,
oh my God!
I'm only going to show it for a second. Okay. This stuff was so bad. I think Super Enthused said, yeah, our corn on the cob was encrusted with flies, like 15 flies on one item right here. Yeah, it's bad, folks. I would show more, but I don't even think I can do it on YouTube because it's that disgusting.
God.
Really, honestly, these are people paying premium prices for a premium product, and this is how they were treated on day one. So bad that they actually got when they got back on board the ship. There were flies on the ship now infesting that food.
Beware
so that's
of
great.
hitchhiking flies.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's see.
There's no turning back now.
No turning back now for indeed.
I
Jeez,
I can't believe
for me.
this.
And I knew you were going to get to this, Vash, but it's like, you look at that walk and you're like, man, can they put some omni movers or something like that going, to and from the ship? And then you get to this part and you're like, oh, well, that's like the least of my worries here, because, flies, like I can't stand flies. Flies drive me nuts, but you think that Disney would have tried to do something? Now, I know it's nature. I know that the flies are around, but you think they would have done something to try to, get this fly problem, wrapped up, especially when all these people are paying, thousands and thousands of dollars to go on this cruise ship. I mean, it's pretty bad. But
the flies are a bonus.
Yeah, bonus. How do you consider that a bonus?
well,
hey.
And by the way, when the cruise ship isn't there, some kind of supply ship is, and they've got to move everything from it to the restaurants or the venues or whatever too, right?
Sure.
And not just food, but paper products and whatever, which means they've got to have a little fleet of probably electric because they would have a fuel issue, of little trucks or vans or something.
Well, perhaps the box truck that they don't use for the Star Wars hotel.
Oh, there you go.
Bring the Star Cruiser. Bring that box truck back that they use to transport all the people.
Yes.
You can see those black dots in the lower part of your screen. Those are the flies right there. It's very hard to see.
Wow.
And there are so many
That's
of
gross.
them. You don't do this. You don't
if
treat
somebody
people
says
like this.
they
If there's
don't
a
eat
problem,
much.
you make it right. You don't do this.
Crabs are crabs.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
Well, I guess I'll skip that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, did they not have a fly problem on the other island that they have, or does Carnival not have it on theirs, or is this particular island particularly fly specked, as they say?
I don't know. I mean, Castaway Key. I was actually just there 6 months ago. I do not remember a fly problem this bad. I think it's nature, so you're always going to have something or another.
Well,
I think
yeah,
seagulls
but
are the bigger problem over there.
But see, wait a minute. The seagulls that are on land and eat things that have fly eggs in them, and then they fly out there and poop and they hatch, and there's a continual, it's the circle of life.
Okay.
And it flies us all.
Oh, geez. I need that visual, Lou. Whew.
Well,
terrible.
I live in an area that is known for cattle and in
Where?
California, Chino.
Okay.
And so we get flies all the time. I always have barbecues outside. There's methods to use to get rid of flies. There's simple little fans that go around that restaurants use, outdoor restaurants use to keep the flies off of the food.
What is it about Chino that a lot of cast members live in Chino?
I don't know.
I have lots of cast member friends in Chino.
But that's the thing, like Marty's saying. I mean, you can go on YouTube and TikTok. You can find videos all over the place of how to, curb your fly problem. Disney should be able to use some of these techniques. I mean, look, how long have they been around? In the entertainment industry and food and all that stuff. And
how long has the Caribbean been around? It's all islands. It's all islands.
I know. But my whole thing is,
I'm just saying, the flies didn't say, "Ooh, that's the new Disney one. Let's go there. The food will be good."
No, I know that. But
no, I know. I'm not talking about you, but all I'm saying is other people have found a way to solve it. It never occurred to them to try.
I don't know.
It
They're
sure
gonna
doesn't
try
look
now.
like
I bet.
Well,
Yeah, well,
after they're going to try.
yeah, it's after. It's so reactive.
We're always in
You're right.
fix-it mode. Bob told us he came in and fixed everything that went wrong while he was gone, right? With the same
Reactive
people
instead of
that broke-
proactive.
Yeah. Well,
Well, you see, and I want to get Marty's take on this because talking about reactive, proactive, they are proactive about something, and I want to get your take. You don't have to reveal anything that you don't have to, Marty. I know you have some internal information that sticks with you, and that's fine, totally fine. But to switch gears just a second here, going back on land over to the Disneyland Resort. Disneyland performers vote to unionize certified by federal labor officials. This actually took place a little while ago. The cast and crew, as that falls under this labor umbrella right here, did vote to unionize. However, right after that happened, we got wind of some rumored closures that were happening to entertainment acts that this union was a part of. So we have Club Pixar here at Disney California Adventure abruptly closing 2 months early. Rumor in the wake of cast reunionization that was later confirmed.
Doctor Strange thing closed.
Yep, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange.
Closing.
Yep, and they just announced that June 30th was the last date right here. I wanted to bring this story up because I think it's an important one. What, Marty? I know you got the details and info. Again, you can be careful with how you relay it. What's going on here?
So I will say that I know people that were informed months ago in other unions to, if asked how the union is working for them, to maybe not say it's great, or to discourage a new union from being made, because there were fears at that time, 6 months ago-ish, 8 months ago, that their jobs could be cut if another union was formed, or their hours might be cut. Things like shows in the Hyperion, for example, might not come back.
To happen.
Yeah,
The Hyperion Theater is a 2,000 seat venue in Disney California Adventure. Just to kind of map it out here.
And it was 100% supposed to come back after Halloween Oogie Boogie, which is what they used the queue for the outside of that area. They shut it down because the queue was used as a treat trail, and they shut the park down a little bit earlier to allow for Oogie Boogie. And they used to run like 3 shows. Well, the third show wasn't going to be run on those days, and the union refused to let the actors, CMs, take a pay cut for not having that third show. So the idea was, like, at that point, they sat there and said, okay, we're just canceling Rogers. The idea was it was supposed to come back, though, and they were sitting there using things like this as a leverage on one side to turn against another side on an upcoming union. So of course Disney isn't going to sit there as soon as like a group unionizes. They're not going to sit there and cut the people from the union that unionized, like the group that unionized. Like that would like, the only saving grace right now is is everybody saying, oh well, it's not the same union. Yeah, well, you know what? Disney's smarter than that, and I don't know if you'll lead to this, Dre, what was suggested or leaked an hour or so before you went on, but there's even more cuts that are coming.
No.
So
who has the story? I will put it up.
Well, Wizard put it in the DMs, but I think it was Disney Today maybe. But they're talking about the next set of series of cuts is going to be all of Avenger Campus shows, you know, the show that they run. So all of those, and man, there were a couple others.
Oh no! Okay,
off the top of my head,
right here. Okay, so this is coming from Walt Disney World News Today, Disneyland News Today. I did this on the video as well. A rumor: more Disneyland Resort entertainment cuts include Five and Dime. No, not Five and Dime. All Avengers Campus shows and Green Army. Man, this is a travesty.
This is Disney's line with the Pixar Fest parade or Pixar Club was due to fan review. Who doesn't like Five and Dime? This isn't fan review stuff.
No. Who
doesn't like the army men running around?
Excuse me, sir. We're doing a poll. Do you want more entertainment or less for your exorbitant cost to get in the door?
Lou.
See, this is the problem I have with Disney, though, and this is what me and my friend Theme Park Casual talk about, all the time. When it comes to entertainment, Disney used to be amazing. Now Disney's not so great at entertainment, and they're getting worse at it because you got Knott's Berry Farm. I know we're talking about the West Coast over here, and Marty, you can attest to this too. But they have Knott's Summer Nights. They're
adding it,
and they've got the Ghost Town Alive. They're making as much entertainment and as much fun as possible at their park, where Disney is now cutting. Now, I get it. I used to, work as a union employee. I used to work, in a corporate, environment with union employees. So I get what Disney's doing, what Marty's talking about. I've seen it happen before too. It's really unfortunate, because most companies don't want to go, union. And so it's a burden to the company. And so the company has to make other cuts. They're not going to talk about those cuts, but you'll start seeing these things like what you just showed on the article and whatnot. And we start seeing the things that start happening. And you're like, well, why are they doing that?
But let's also remember that money is what is known as fungible. In other words, if I have to spend on a performer, I might not spend on maintenance on a light pole that falls down and hurts a guest or whatever. I'm just saying, if they don't accept the bare minimum standards that they have to spend to be in business, but say, I'm the new guy who just got promoted and I have to prove to my boss he did a good thing. So I'm going to find a way to cut 35 cents here and 22 cents there and $1.25 over here. And sooner or later, it all adds up. Well, what it all adds up to is you're giving the customer a less happy, a less safe, a less secure, a less professional environment to have fun in. And if they go and they experience that, if two of these crazy Yahoo people that inhabit our world nowadays decide to pick off a fight in the middle of Main Street, and it takes 15 minutes for security to get there instead of 5 because we're hiring 10 less security guards than we used to. All the fans who are affected by that may not come back as soon next time. May not, when they're getting ready and they're saying, gee, should we take the kids to Disneyland again? And they look at what it's going to cost, and they have that memory of that bad experience, whether it's a bad experience of no show or less clean restrooms or whatever it is. All those little tiny micro decisions that people make add up. And
absolutely.
And that's why their reputation originally was so sterling as being clean and safe and wholesome compared to other amusements out there. So you can only throw that away once. You can't get it back with those people. They're gone. They're out of there.
Hang on, Bob. Just 1 second. Let me just recap for the audience here what's been going on, because we've covered a lot of ground. I just want to make sure that people have cut along right here. This was Rogers the Musical. It premiered last year in the Hyperion Theater. Again, I think it was like 1,985 seats in the Hyperion Theater. Played 3 times a day, so a huge capacity. Sucked for the actual park itself, but a Broadway musical style production right here. Very, very crucial for the entire Disneyland Resort that they have a venue like this, playing shows like this. This it only played for the summer. It never came back. That's what Marty was going over right here. We have a series of shows that have been canceled already, and it supposedly. I mean, look, we're making inferences, but we can see the writing here when you're talking about a unionization effort and then the cancellation of all of these shows. I was going to say that this Hyperion Theater is a big chunk of this park right here. You can actually see that in the lower right there. Like I said, huge venue. They paid gobs of money to restore it not once but twice. Most recently with Rogers the Musical right here, because it was a venue that was offline for years during the pandemic era. You can see if this union effort goes through, well, that's a large bit of land.
And by the way,
to expansion here,
they were going to build one of these behind Main Street in Florida.
Yep.
And decided not to, not because it's not a good idea, but because the inherent expenses made it a less attractive proposition. And I'm not knocking anybody in those unions. They deserve even more than money. It's about working conditions. When we heard about people dressing in something called the dungeon, and about the woman who got her eyes dyed by the contact lenses, and all these other, you're talking to a guy who was an officer with a major union and representative of two others. And I understand how this stuff works, and I've negotiated a lot of big contracts, and there's money and benefits, but then there's also what's called working conditions, which in some cases can be an even bigger deal than the money, strange as that might sound. Because at least I'll tell you something, if you're in one of these shows in California, first of all, you have other options as far as a bigger theater community, and certainly the movie and TV industry. And secondly, you're more likely to be seen, and therefore the benefit of being there is more than just the job itself, as opposed to being, the star of some little show like this at Disney World, which is that's relegated to this unfairly or not ghetto of theme park performers, as opposed to just stage performer or potential movie performer. So,
and in the wake of that, we're now seeing or we're hearing rumors of even more cuts. Five and dime, a lot of the Marvel Avengers Campus shows that are brand new, by the way, relatively speaking, anyway.
Yeah,
with the opening of that land, this is heartbreaking. Bob, you were going to say something.
Oh, sorry.
Well, you better now. He set you up.
Well, yeah, I know. You know what? I wasn't talking about this. I know we were going to try to talk about CommuniCore. I can't even say it now.
CommuniCore Hall, yeah.
Yes, CommuniCore Hall. And then also we got some super chats. So I don't know if you want to get to that, because we're coming towards the end of the show here.
Yeah, I was going to say, guys, I hate to leave you in the lurch. But you know what? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. It's been a long day here on the Ray Didio. And
no problem, Lou.
Anyway, I will just say thank you all once again, and mention that we just did a brand new genre, guys, which if you're a member over at the Pro channel, he decided to put it up right away this afternoon of a movie. I'm going to tell everybody, go on Amazon or wherever you watch old movies and watch this one. You're a better man than I am, Gunga Din. And I got to tell you, if you want to see a movie made in 1937, 8, 9 that has battle sequences that are every bit as big and impressive as Lord of the Rings, with no CGI and no special effects and just a bunch of guys out there in Lone Pine pretending they're in India, not to mention, of course, you get as a bonus Cary Grant and Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Victor McLaughlin, and a great story and a great romance. And it's the kind of movies Disney and everybody else should be making in art. Anyway, we tell you all about it on the show. And of course, now we have on our channel, are we going to do that somebody asked me over there, are we going to do that live every Sunday unless we run into things? So every Sunday, Vash and I are going to be there for you at 2:00 Eastern, unless we have something come up, answering your questions, far afield though they may take us, and God knows they do, about Hollywood and about how things work in the biz called show. And with that said, I love all of you guys, and nice to meet you, Marty, for the first time. And I'm sure not the last. And anyway, continue. You're doing wonderful things, and thank you everybody out there in the audience. And God, tonight they're going to talk about that terrible television show again.
No. Oh, it's
I would say
come on, you got to be excited.
I was just thinking earlier, this has been a crazy busy week of how low can they go in the next 10 minutes with a new project. But someday we'll get up in the morning and we'll turn on this thing and we'll get the StreamYard ready and we'll come on and people say, here they are, and we'll play all that snappy music. and it'll be, hi, it's us. And well, they did it again. They made another stinker. I know you're bored with it, but we got to tell you. So here you go. Because that's the way it seems to be happening, that they have nowhere to go but further down, which is a damn shame.
It really is.
Anyway, you're about to explore that further at what used to be my favorite place, Epcot, but isn't, and you'll see why. All right, I got to go, guys. Sorry to intrude on the party so much. And thank you very much, and I'll see you all another day. Be good.
Lou, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. A real pleasure to always be with you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure indeed. Bye.
Bye. Again, yeah, Lou, Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you every single Sunday on, I believe, 2 p.m. I think is the agreed upon time. Pretty sure that was the agreed upon time, 2 p.m. Eastern, right there. A lot of fun, for sure. A lot of great people with all their questions. It's always fun. Having a blast right there. Let's go ahead and get to some super chats, and then we'll get to the last topic real fast before Mr. H reviews starts his show right here. So we gotta step aside for him as well right here. Let's see. Going Shogi with another $5. Thank you so much. Going Shogi, watching those logs slide out brings new meaning. I'm sorry. Watching those logs slide out brings new meaning to Dookie Chase. I screwed that up because I was laughing so hard because you're absolutely right. Not so good right there. Going Shogi for another $1.99 or $1.99. You're doing it, Peter. Only half a mile left. Yeah, exactly. The long pier right there. For sure. Disney fan 55 with $10. Thank you so much right there. Great show. Here's $10 for some bug spray. Seriously, this would be shut down if it were ever a restaurant. Yeah, that's very true. Like they get away with it because it's on an island, but that's for sure. And last super chat right here, Jay with $10. Thank you so much. More unionization just means more price increases by the guests. Yep, for the guests. Regardless if any of this is justified, the California resort will not be the same. Corporate has once again screwed it up permanently. It is so heartbreaking because we have seen so many entertainment cuts. Marty, I was just about to say, we've seen entertainment cuts. Like, Minnie's Fly Girls. Do you remember that back in the day? Do you remember the rock bands that used to perform at Tomorrowland? Do you remember Billy Hillbillies that used to be in...
don't get me started on how long I waited in security yesterday because of the security union who fought off the touchless screening process. And then they changed the security process with a plexiglass. And it literally took me 25 minutes to get through security with 10 people in front of me. And it's just, I couldn't imagine. I saw some of the photos from the lines today, and there's people with no bags, and they're going to wait 40 minutes to get through.
I think it's ridiculous that they should either just have a no line, a no bag line.
No bag.
Or...
Right.
I have no problems with someone going around me because I always have my backpack because I'm a streamer. So I've got all my streaming equipment with me, but I have no problem. But it's funny when people try to go around me and like, no, get back in line. You can't go back. Yeah. It's like they make the process so much harder than it needs to be. I mean, I hate to bring it back up, but other theme parks do it way better than Disney, and they shouldn't. Disney should be doing it better. I mean, the other day I went to just downtown Disney just because I needed to go check in for the day. I wasn't going to do a stream, and I had to go through security, and still took me a while. I'm like, really? Why?
Well, at the parking structure, they just 2 weeks ago added this. People are calling it COVID glass. It's plexiglass, but it has nothing to do with COVID. From what I was told, it's so that you can't influence what's in your bag while they're searching it. For example, I have a bag that I put in my backpack, and it has all of my cameras, my 360 camera, my GoPro, and so it's worth about $3,000, my microphones and all that stuff. Now my wife, I take that out. My wife takes the empty backpack and sends that through. I open up the littler bag with all this other stuff and I hand it to them. And the woman yesterday, she looked at it and she was just like, okay, I don't even know what half of this stuff is. I was like, well, we're talking through a glass with no holes. And so finally she was like, okay, I think it's all good. And then she said, I don't feel comfortable closing this bag because I don't want to mess your cameras up. So she had to push it back out. I had to come back out to the front of the table so she could push it back out to me so that I could close it up and then hand it to her again so she could push it through security. To my knowledge, they don't do that at Toy Story. It's because that's where I've gone a couple times, and they haven't done it at the downtown Disney entrance on the Disney hotel, or the Disneyland hotel side. They don't have that plexiglass, but still at Mickey and Friends, they have that, and it's demolished the wait time to get through. You are way better, even if you park at Disney and Friends, you're way better just walking to downtown Disney's entrance to get through rather than deal with the plexiglass, especially if you have camera equipment. But I mean, it's also crazy with the strollers. They're so more strict with them now.
Okay. We just got a little bit more news right here that we have to address. So I don't think CommuniCore Hall is going to be part of the show. I know I wanted to get to it. Well, we just we had a lot of great stories. So what you got? Some things have to be moved and displaced here. First off, I want to get to Marty Snyder's security issue and give a little bit of a representation on screen of what that is right now, because it's a mess. It is terrible. Let me see right here. Yeah, you can see a little bit of what we're talking about right here. This is from Matt DH. Long lines for security to actually get in. Oh, sorry, I'm not representing this on screen. There you go, right there. Long lines at security to get in to Disneyland. So this is from the parking structures at Disneyland Resort. They take you through security first, and then you get on the trams, and then you get to Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure Park and the Esplanade area there. You can see just how long these lines can actually be with these new procedures that they put in place. And also, too, you can see a little bit of that process right there that Marty was describing. Man, I know.
And I don't think it's getting enough as much press or attraction as it should, because they suggest they will sit there and ask you not to film the security protocols. So, like, him being able to doing this, there's a good chance that they told him to stop filming. They've done it to me before, plenty of times in the past. I mean, I get that. It's what it is. But I do think that it's not being talked about. The system change isn't being talked about as much because there's a lot of people that are just afraid to film it. What has happened.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually took some photos of it and filmed a little bit as I was standing in line. I think it really just matters to the cast member.
Sure.
But also, there's a lot of, it seems to me like they are not sure what they're supposed to be doing with these new protocols. I go through the line, I have all my equipment, and then, because I'm a, theme park streamer, I have stickers and magnets and keychains, and I have all this stuff. And I had like a small, Ziploc baggie of stickers. And the security guy looks over his supervisor, says, is this allowed? Look how many stickers he has. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I've got about like 40, 50 stickers, not tons, but yeah, I pass those out. And the supervisor always says, yes, it's fine. But the other thing I think is interesting is, how you're talking about those plexiglass and how they move things through. My whole part is they check your bag, not in front of the plexiglass, but they actually check it on the side. And you see right there, they're checking on the side, then they kind of push it through. I have yet to see any of them actually do it behind the plexiglass. So to me, it just seems like a long drawn out system that they need to get rid of. They need to just cancel this and come up with a better system like some of the other theme parks. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I don't disagree. I think we were on track to get what is it, the touchless scanners, right? Touchless scanners. And I can probably guess why the security union pushed back on that because, well, obviously those take a lot less manpower than this convoluted process here.
We had them for a week and a half, like 2 years ago.
We sure
on the Disneyland hotel resort side, Disneyland hotel side. I went through them, and yeah, I was like super stoked. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna happen!" And week and a half later, they're gone. And I started talking to people. The union pushed back on it because they take half as many security CMs to monitor that situation.
And now we're.
But it's so weird because like it's so funny to me because. Universal has by far the better security. Universal Hollywood has by far the better security system in that they have like baggage lines and no baggage lines, and you just put your bag in a in a like a airport metal detector screener, and it goes through, and they look and they see what on the computer screen, and then you're on your way. But they have the worst like entrance thing where they use your fingerprint. And the fingerprint monitors don't work. And I'm like, man, could like Disney and Universal talk? Can we like get the Disneyland version of scanning in with like maybe a magic band or something like that? And then Universal could implement like the security measures for Disney because like they're both backwards. Like one is far superior on the security and the other one's far worse on the entrance. But I don't even just like metal detector, like that you push it through, Universal still uses 2 people to mandate that. One that handles their stuff and the other one that looks at the monitor screen and they push it through. That's what Disney had. They use 2 people on their security thing. They could even just do that and it'd still keep the same amount of people and people would go through faster. But it's really just security theater because there's the people who want to bring stuff in are going to bring stuff in.
It's
like there's so many things they don't check. They don't check popcorn buckets. They don't check your food.
Hang on. Let's not tell people how to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying.
How to get around it. Let's. But you are right though. There are lapses in security, and I will agree that it's not as thorough as it possibly should, as it probably could be, and very much should be, especially for the amount of hassle that you had to undertake and actually go through that system. For those who aren't aware, yes, there are similar systems like this with stadiums and all kinds of stuff, right? That's true. But, stadiums, I mean, what, your average stadium, I mean, your football stadium is probably like, 70,000, 80,000, especially college and so forth like that, right? And sometimes, they are arriving at, by and large the same time. But you're talking about 60,000 people a day, per day, going through a lot of these security systems on all sides of the Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney World as well. Walt Disney World has implemented a system, though, where you have this kind of touchless scanning system. So you literally just walk through. And if they, I think it's a mixture of AI and what is it, magnetization or whatever. Do that kind of process, they can field out, okay, what is worth checking on your person and what isn't. And if you're, if you don't have anything on you that sends up a red flag, you just walk through. And it's a much better system for everybody involved. Go ahead, Marty.
Well, and the other problem is it's a different system at in almost every location. There's there's Toy Story. Then after like 11 or noon, you don't get checked in at Toy Story. They check you in on the harbor entrance where they drop you off. That's a different system. Right. The as far as I know, from the last 2 weeks I've been going, the plexiglass is only at the parking structure area, and then you have Downtown Disney, which has 2 entrances. One is the Stitch parking lot entrance, straight up on the left-hand side of ESPN. And then the other one is on the Disney hotel side. And a lot of times, like if you go to that ESPN one, the straightaway one, the lines are super long. If you just walk around the corner, there's nobody there because it's really just visible. Unless it's really just visible for the hotel guests like that would know that it's there. So not only is that line shorter, but they have different protocols there too. And so, to like Barry Place's point, like they don't the right hand isn't talking with the left hand on the protocols and how they work. I've had being also somebody who takes all kinds of video and stuff like that in the parks. I have quick release mounts on my stuff, but I keep a flathead screwdriver, like a little keychain one that's like an inch, right? Mm-hmm. And that I can sit there and tighten nuts on my cameras or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
And stuff. And I've taken that thing in for 5 years, and 3 months ago they confiscated it from me. I wasn't going to walk back. I still had three others in my backpack.
Well,
it's also funny. Like I'm sitting there, I'm still bitter that they took it, but I'm sitting there sitting at having a meal with my wife last week, and she pulls out this. There's something that I forget what it was. There's something like that I needed sewn, right? Like a strap for my handy for a camera strap or something. She pulls out a needle and thread. And in that bag is also paper clips, glue, tape. I'm like, how do you get that in? They've confiscated all of that from me in the last 2 years. Like none of that stuff's allowed.
I've seen it before where they size people up. So they look.
She had a Sharpie marker in there. I'm like,
they look at the maybe young female who looks okay, go ahead, and then they look at the big broad man, they go, okay, we're gonna go ahead and really check this guy. I've seen that kind of stuff before.
It's funny.
Who knows how this all works. You can see right here
go
ahead. I was going to say for the viewers, you can see the Making French Parking Structure up in your upper left right there. You can see the Toy Story lot down here on Walt Disney World property, and then my screen just went blank. Okay, and you can see where security. You have multiple points of security that check your bags when accessing the Disneyland Resort, and every single one of these procedures differs wildly from the other, and the people there and all that kind of stuff. That's what Marty was explaining before. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Oh yeah, we had a funny situation with security, like when my son was first born, where my wife, with new moms will bring in devices to use at the baby center and stuff, and to make sure your child is fed. And we had a CM, kid couldn't have been more than 20 years old. He looks at this thing like it's a bomb. He's like, what is this? And we're like, well, maybe have a lead come over, or we'll tell you what it is and what it's worth and stuff. And so the lead comes over and goes, when you see new moms, you just be aware that new moms are going to bring it, and baby food's good too. Like you can bring all that stuff in, but just be aware that know this in the future. But so that was funny. But just in general, I don't think that they're talking to each other. They don't know from one spot to the other. I once took in, and it's wild to me now. Like they probably it was like when Galaxy's Edge opened up, I made a lightsaber handle out of PVC, and on top of it, I put a GoPro mount. So it was my selfie stick that didn't extend, which is allowed. And they allowed me to bring it in. I brought it in 5 times or something like that. And then the 6th time they confiscated it from me, and I was just like, oh, that's fine. I've got my use out of it. But looking back, I probably shouldn't have been allowed to take a PVC stick into the park.
It's who knows how all that goes down. It's what's unfortunate is that the interplay between unions and Disney are really dramatically affecting the guest experience in very profound ways, and not for the better. Now, I'm not blaming one side or the other. I'm just saying it really is hurting the guest experience right here. We're going to be wrapping up the show right here. Mr. H has already started, and we want to go ahead and get our viewers over to that show right there. I want to end on this final note right here. This news recently was just posted while we were live right here. Mice Chat in the constellation of Disney fans, Al Lutz shone brightly, founder of MiceAge.com. Al's boundless wit and pursuit of excellence lives on. Al sadly lost his long battle with Parkinson's this morning. Please join us to honor his legacy. And there's a tribute to Al Lutz right here. Al Lutz was an insider that that covered the parks distinctively for many years, and especially getting into what I do now. He was definitely somebody who was ahead of the curve on this stuff, and by many years, him, Jim Hill, and a couple of others, they were the only ones in town actually doing stuff like this, covering the parks as much as they were. Al Lutz taking a particular interest in Disneyland and outlining what happened during the Paul Pressler era, and on a lot of the stuff that we have inside information on came from Al Lutz specifically. And when I was getting into this 20 years ago. This was the guy that I looked up to. This was the guy I read articles. Just I was glued to them, and I would read them constantly in order to absorb as much insider information as I possibly could. I would not be here if it was not for this man, and you guys wouldn't be watching any show at all if it wasn't for him. So that's really unfortunate. That has taken place right here.
Yeah.
Sorry to leave you on a down note. Let's go ahead and pep ourselves up one last time via a super chat. Kiss my grits, KMG. Thank you so much for coming in and laying $5 on us. I really do appreciate it. Love your work, man, and thank you so much for including me in the chats and everything, and the notifications on Twitter. It has been a blast, that is for sure. Consumers, please direct all of your summer theme park vacation money to Dollywood versus Disney. Cinnamon bread plus Dolly plus Smokies equals better experience. I'm going to be going over Dollywood. I swear I'm going to. We were supposed to go there last time that I was in Tennessee. That did not happen. I will be going there for sure. That is, I can assure everybody of that. We're going to be wrapping up here. Marty, where can people find you? I compliment you all the time because you're such a great source of information, but you're also such a great friend, such a great guy. Where can people find you on the interwebs here?
Well, I don't do any shows or anything like that, but you, if you're interested in my thoughts, you'll find me on X at Marty084.
Fantastic. Barry Place 28, what do you got going on?
I'm hopefully going to be doing trivia night tonight with my daughter. It's going to be a surprise stream, hopefully. So if you guys want to come over to and join our trivia night, it's a lot of fun. We usually do theme park trivia. I believe we're probably going to do some Disney trivia as well as some Knott's Berry Farm trivia tonight. And I will be streaming at the park with my daughter on Thursday night at Disneyland. So hope you guys will come join the fun. And if you don't have the time or can't, you can always follow me at Barry Place 28 on all my different social media channels from X, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebooks and TikTok. So thank you very much for having me on again. And it's great seeing everyone.
I very much I love having the both of you on here like this, Marty. I know I've been you up a couple times to come on the show. I'm so glad that you were able to join us here and talk about some really profound topics that I think are really important to not just covering Disneyland, but also covering the Walt Disney Company in general. I think a lot of these stories are very, very important, and they add so much to our understanding and knowledge and everything. So thank you so much for laying some of that on us. Barry Place, thank you so much for joining me again this week right here. I know we had a packed show. Thank you for keeping up with it. Everybody, you make this show work. You make this show possible. Thank you so much for joining us. You're going to be redirected right to Mr. H. Should work this time, I swear. But thank you, and we will. I think we hear the music right here. Is that right? Yeah. I think that's our out there. So thank you. We'll see you all later.